Hey there, welcome back to the Hormone Hacker Revolution. I'm your host, Dr. Michelle Sands, and throughout this event, my goal is to educate, empower, and inspire you to balance your chemistry so you can have more energy, less fat, better sex, improve moods, and so you can really enjoy your life. Today, I am super excited because we are talking with a really fun and dynamic expert. Dr. Jill Stocker is trained in traditional Western medicine, but she also has advanced certifications in age management medicine and hormone optimization. Her goal is to help women create a more fulfilling physical, emotional, and spiritual life by focusing on the being and not the becoming, which we'll talk more about that later. Dr. Jill actually believes it's totally possible to create and live a life that sets your soul on fire at any stage of your life. So I absolutely love that. And I really want to talk to Dr. Jill because she really brings an energy and enthusiasm to this whole summit. You know, we're talking a lot about a lot of hormonal imbalances, a lot of issues that we're dealing with, a lot of strategies to overcome these. But she brings an additional component to really live your life, and she calls it reclaiming your juiciness and living out loud. And I think that's absolutely amazing. So Dr. Jill, welcome to the Hormone Hacker Revolution.
Hi, thank you for that amazing introduction. I appreciate that. And I love that whenever somebody says the word juicy when they're introducing me, they get a smile on their face. It creates a reaction, and that's exactly how I want people to feel.
Awesome. Yeah. So what is juiciness? Like, what does that mean to you when you say reclaim your juiciness? Like, what does that mean?
Well, part of that whole statement, reclaim your juiciness, to reclaim something means that you had it once before. And through life, especially as busy women, moms, career-driven women, we kind of lose ourselves in all of that. And I know that's something that you speak to quite a bit. And so it kind of gets covered up because we're just kind of doing the checking off the boxes of every day, and we lose ourselves and our juiciness, our vitality and vibrancy. And so I really try to help women reclaim it. They're not reinventing themselves. They're literally uncovering the true, authentic them that they know.
Yeah, you know, it's so interesting because a lot of times when women come into my office and work with us virtually in our practice, one of the things that they say is like, I'm just not feeling myself, or I've lost my really passion for anything. Like nothing really makes me happy anymore. I just feel blah, right? You just don't feel like what you think you should feel like. And that's something that you're right. Like they're trying to get back to something that they once had. But often we don't know where it got lost. And I can tell you, like you said, like our lives kind of take over, and there is nothing juicy about naturopathic medical school. There's nothing juicy about working long hours, having children, and taking care of them. And so, but there is a space for that, and there's a way to incorporate all that no matter how busy you are.
Yeah.
But before we get into all that, I'd really like to know a little bit about why you're so passionate about this topic. Like there must have been something in your own history that kind of brought about this whole idea and wanting to teach it to others. So can you tell us a little bit about like where you came from? What's your story?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I always knew that I wanted to be a doctor and help people. I came from a medical background, and I wasn't sure exactly what I wanted to do. I just knew I wanted to help people. And so I followed the traditional path, to be honest. I did high school, college, med school, marriage, kids. And then where's Jill? What does Jill want? And, you know, I knew exactly what I wanted to do, and I was helping people, but it wasn't necessarily lighting my soul on fire like we talked about. And when I was practicing traditional family medicine, I had women that would come to me and they would talk about how, you know, I hadn't seen them for maybe a year or so, and they looked great, they felt great, they had lost weight, and they just had this like vibrancy to them. And I said, what are you doing? And they said, well, we're seeing this hormone doctor. And I thought, well, what is this? You know, because they don't teach this in medical school. And so I started learning on my own and going, you know, I actually went and trained with the hormone doctor, and then started going to advanced certification courses and thought, this is amazing. This is really life-changing. So I started kind of dabbling in it in my own practice, and I just saw amazing results with women. And I had my own journey with hormones. I was working full time. I had 3 kids and I was tired, but I thought like, I'm supposed to be tired. I'm doing all that stuff. But then I was losing my hair. I was cold all the time. And I was so thankful that I actually, during one of my trainings, met my mentor. And she said, well, you're totally hypothyroid, even though my numbers were normal. They were perfect. And that first day that I took thyroid medicine changed my life. I literally felt like I woke up. I didn't realize I was in a fog until I was not in a fog. And so I actually felt this awakening within myself as I was helping other women. So I've been going along the journey with them. And I see the transformation in other women and in myself because, I'm not necessarily following the traditional path now. I talk about sex. Yay. And the things that are kind of controversial, and they shouldn't be. And, people lower their voice when they say, well, how's your sex life? And it really should be celebrated. It's something that, creates a deeper connection with your partner. It brings, somewhat of a different energy to yourself. And so that's kind of why I am so passionate about it, because it really helps to help women reclaim who they once were and be an even better version of themselves because they realize all these possibilities that can occur. So the first thing that I do is really look at their hormones. There's a lot of things. I don't just focus on their hormonal health. I focus on their mental health, spiritual health, sexual health. But the first thing that I need to do is balance their hormones, because if they're not feeling good, they're not going to want to do any of those other things that I'm recommending as far as nutrition and exercise and meditation and everything. So
yeah, it's really interesting because like you mentioned, like you're doing all the things, you did the high school, college, the med school, have a family, children, and a lot of times we get on the hamster wheel and we do feel tired and we think it's normal, and maybe we might even go to our doctor and tell them all this stuff, hey, I'm not really feeling energetic, I don't really feel happy, and oftentimes, boom, you get slammed with an antidepressant medication or you get sent off on your way. That's just how life is as a woman, and it really frustrates me, and I dealt with that in my own life, which is what led me down the path to really explore hormonal health and all holistic health in general. There's a lot of things that play into your hormonal health, as far as like your digestion and your detoxification and neurotransmitters, all these things together really upregulating. So you mentioned like hormones and thyroid medication. Do you feel that all women need to be on exogenous hormones or thyroid medication, or do you think there's a lot that can be done lifestyle based and using meditation and exercise, nutrition, those kinds of things?
Yeah, I think it's all interrelated, and I really try and focus on that because the healthier you eat, the less inflammation that you have in your gut, you actually are able to absorb your own vitamins and nutrients and hormones. And there's also certain types of exercise that you can do to boost your own hormones. So I find that I'm able to correct their hormone imbalances, but once the rest of it kind of comes into place with cleaning up their diet and their exercise and helping with meditation, they actually need less and less exogenous hormones because we're getting their bodies to work for themselves.
Yeah, I totally agree. And so let's talk about sex for a second because, yeah, I mean, I can totally relate to...
It's more than a second, I hope.
Burning the candle at both ends, right? I totally relate to having the whole life and the hamster wheel and the kids and the husband and all this stuff. And at the end of the day, like sometimes you're just completely exhausted and like it's like you're weighing like sex or sleep, right? And a lot of times like sleep wins in that situation. And I find that the more that happens, the more it happens, right? The less sex you're having, sometimes the less sex you want to have. And so how do we break that cycle? I know a lot of women are dealing with low libido, whether it be due to a hormonal imbalance or whether it be due to low self-confidence or just not feeling sexy and vibrant.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I just want to backtrack just a little bit. I think that part of the old notion of hormone replacement therapy is somebody that's either in their late 40s, early 50s and having hot flashes and night sweats. And that's when, people really start taking care of themselves. When in reality, we're seeing hormone deficiencies earlier and earlier in life. And it starts as early as your 30s. And it's not hot flashes and night sweats. It's the lack of energy, the lack of motivation, the brain fog, the lack of sex drive, sleep disorders. I think I stopped sleeping when I was 38. And, but I never knew that was one of the symptoms.
Right. No, it's true. My hormonal imbalances actually started in my 20s, and it was, something that I had no idea what was going on. And the doctors really just wanted to put me on birth control pills and antidepressants. And really that was my answer. And so, yeah, I always say, people say, well, when should I test my hormones? And I always say, test them in your 20s. So you have that baseline of, if you test your hormones when you actually feel amazing, that's the optimal time to do it. But if you're starting to feel not so amazing, then the sooner the better, right? So you can start really improving something before it gets worse. It's easier to improve it as it's at a higher level.
Yeah. The other thing that I really try and emphasize with my clients is self-care. And it's amazing how many women do not even know what that means, including myself. It took me a while to realize what that even was. I thought it was just going for a manicure, pedicure. It literally can be, especially for moms, going to the bathroom first thing when you wake up instead of getting the lunches made, and just do that by yourself, all by yourself.
That's hysterical, because I think every mom listening can relate to you're holding it and you don't even realize you're holding it because you're trying to do all these things, and then you actually only go to the bathroom when it's the last minute. And I think sometimes I'm the only one that does that, but it's so funny that you said that, because I think everybody can relate to that.
Yeah, and the more, we're always filling everybody else's cup, whether it's our kids or our spouse or our partner or our patients or our friends. And if we don't fill ours first, we're really giving a not great version of ourselves. So I really try and emphasize self-care first thing in the morning before you start taking care of everybody else. And if it means, setting your alarm for 15, 20 minutes early so that you can do your meditation or stretching or whatever makes you feel filled up before you go start filling up others up, I really try and focus on that. And you can do it throughout the day as well. Too often we are at the bottom of the checklist. We have all these checklists and we're not truly living our lives. We're just checking off the boxes. And so the other thing that I really emphasize is being fully present in whatever it is you're doing. Because so many times, women are deemed as great multitaskers, and we are. But when you are doing something but thinking about the 3 other things that you have to do, you're not giving your full energy to that one thing. So if it's a mundane task, enjoy that mundane task, because there may be something beautiful that you find in it. And then you're able to do the next thing. And then you're feeling full from the inside, and you're feeling more of a whole person. And, the law of attraction, you get back what you put out. And when you start doing that, you start feeling more vibrant. So you are going to start feeling like, oh, maybe I do want to, get sexy tonight. And you know what? For people who are super busy, sometimes scheduling it is something that you have to do. And like you had mentioned, doing it, just kind of putting it on the schedule and getting the ball rolling is something that actually then creates more energy within your head and oh, I want to do that more often. That was pleasurable.
It's really true. I can totally relate to it. And my husband manages my calendar, just so you guys know. Jeff actually does all the back-end office stuff at Glow Natural Medicine, so he'll actually schedule it in my calendar for me.
Good. And the other thing that's really important to talk to women about, that I put it out there and I talk loudly about it. I don't lower my tone, but I ask them, how are your orgasms? Are they, as intense as they used to be? Are they muffled? Even with masturbation, because people think, oh, I shouldn't talk about that. And that's actually self-care, because if you don't know what makes you happy and what brings you pleasure, how's somebody else going to know that? So you're putting that area of your life in somebody else's hands. What other areas are you putting in somebody else's hands? And, a lot of people think, there's different information out there as far as, just scheduling it. There's actually different apps. There's an app called Pillow Play, and it's actually about connecting. And so it's not necessarily just the act of penetration or anything like that. It's actually almost a form of tantra, where you're actually getting in touch with different parts of your body that feel nice to be touched, whether it's the back of your knee or, the side of your neck, and really trying to have open communication with your partner about what brings you pleasure and what doesn't. And one of the things that's really difficult is, as we age, we do get a little bit dry. And so that's another reason why I say reclaim your juiciness, and it's something that is kind of embarrassing, to have the lube handy, and it just, it's embarrassing. And then we shut down. We're already feeling not that great about ourselves, whether it's our body or mentally, emotionally. And then we have that. And then your partner is thinking that they're not stimulating you.
Exactly. I was just going to bring that up. Yeah, there's that whole, oh, am I not, is she not aroused enough? And then so there's that whole, everybody is having this mind thing going on, and that can really deflate the mood right there.
Yeah. And, so much of what's taught, or not even taught or talked about, is the orgasm itself. Is, that's the goal. That's the end goal. And it's not necessarily. I mean, it's that connection with yourself and with your partner, and what that brings around. So, and men, as they age, they start having delayed orgasms as well. And then we think it's us, and it's the whole cycle. So just, I really speak to women and find out, when I ask that question, are your orgasms as intense or are they muffled? It actually, nobody's ever asked them, and they think, you know what, it is taking me longer to self-stimulate or with my partner. And why is that? Is it that and why is it painful? Is it painful because I'm not aroused, or I'm just having dryness down there? So really trying to find out what part of the female sexual dysfunction it is. And then a lot is up here too.
Yeah, so just for the people who are experiencing some issues with vaginal dryness or painful intercourse, do you have any suggestions or best practices?
Yeah, absolutely. And like I said, a lot of the stimulation part of it is actually mental. And so getting in that frame of mind, whether it's putting on a sexy piece of lingerie, or, working out that morning so that you feel more fit, or getting a good night's rest, so you actually can be present in the act. That's part of it. But the other part is, if you are dry, is it because you're not aroused, because you don't feel connected? And why is it you don't feel connected? So kind of trying to identify, is that something where you're off trying to, do the 5 things on your task list for tomorrow? Or is there a communication barrier with your partner? But the other thing is, as we age, we do get dry down there because of lack of estrogen. And there's different ways to replenish that. You can actually use just the traditional KY jelly. There's the inserts, but it's kind of messy and it's not convenient, when you're in the throes of passion. Where's the lube? It's not very sexy, and then it makes us feel self-conscious. So a couple other ways to enhance the vaginal lubrication would be, there's vaginal estradiol that actually helps to rebuild the tissues. A lot of women are afraid of estrogen. When it's given vaginally, you're not going to have all of the systemic side effects or concerns with it. But for women that just are completely not wanting estrogen, that's fine too. There's actually a new study that came out showing vaginal DHEA, which is a precursor to testosterone, actually helps with libido, with the actual intensity of the orgasm, with the clitoral sensitivity, and with the vaginal lubrication. So that's one option. Testosterone is huge. Low T is not just for men anymore. And testosterone, is not just sex drive, but it actually affects your confidence and your vibrancy and your lean muscle mass. So testosterone does convert a little bit to estrogen. So just replenishing that can actually help with that vaginal lubrication too.
Yeah, we've actually seen some great results with the vaginal DHEA for the women who are not looking at using the estradiol. But yeah, I think that those are great options, and because they don't require you to stop what you're doing.
Exactly.
And also, just overall, like improving your lifestyle, your diet, your detoxification. Like these things can all help to increase the overall function of your body, including your sexual function. So a lot of the work there, but I think a big piece is often the mental aspect of it and really being able to be present. And by practicing, like you said, practicing throughout the day, being present in your mundane tasks, you're going to train your brain to be more present when you are with your partner and be able to actually enjoy the moment. I think it's a practice, when we talk about meditation or yoga, we call it a practice. And a lot of times people feel like they're doing it wrong when they first start. I'm not really feeling it. I don't know what I'm supposed to feel. So do you have any tips for people who are, a lot of us are busy and we just think that we don't have the time for self-care. So for beginners who are just starting in trying to be more mindfulness, trying to incorporate some of the stuff that you mentioned to really reclaim their juiciness and live that better life, do you have some starter tips?
Yeah, there's actually a whole movement, especially out here in LA. People are very open and embrace their sexuality here. And there's a whole journey movement that emphasizes embracing your inner goddess. And so it's kind of a form of yoga movement. And, it's learning how to embrace your inner goddess. And it's set to music. There's different forms of it too, and it's a form of self-care where you actually feel like, okay, and it's not, oh, my hair's done and I've got makeup on. It's something that comes from within that will ultimately emit wherever you go.
Oh, that's amazing. I think a lot of times when we go through any kind of health issue, we lose our energy, we have hormonal imbalances, maybe we're dealing with blood sugar, diabetes, whatever it is, oftentimes we lose a little bit of that confidence that we might have had earlier in life, or some of us may have never had the confidence early in life. And so I love that idea. So is that a class that you can take, or what exactly is it?
Well, here in LA, there's a place called the S Factor, and it's just a movement. I know that there's different facilities all throughout the country, and if you go online and check that out, they actually go through the whole theory behind it. And there's also a large group that's into something called orgasmic meditation, and so it's kind of alternative, and it talks about it not necessarily being the sexual act, and it's actually being a connective act with yourself and with your partner. So just kind of opening up people's eyes as far as it's okay to have pleasure, to be pleasured, and it's part of your health, your physical wellness, your sexual wellness, your mental wellness.
Yeah, and I think that's a great thing to explore with your partner. It can be fun to get back into your best self, right? We can make this fun. It doesn't have to be work. It doesn't have to be boring, like going to your doctor. And it can be actually an experience, and it could be a journey that is fun. I love that.
Yeah, well, and it really helps women feel more alive, just in general, and it really has opened up so many different doors for the women that I work with. They would say, I feel like a shell of myself. I just am not, I don't know what happened to me. And that's what happens. And now that I've incorporated the hormonal optimization and really talking about self-care, all of that, they actually come to me now and they say, Dr. Jill, I'm feeling a little more juicy now. And it's still a little bit shy, but you can see the little spark in their eye.
Right, and it's not even just about sex. It's women are going out and like being more creative, doing things that they love, like actually taking part in just things that light them up, and whether it be a charity or a hobby or something that with their career, like it's okay to like live your life, right? And if you should live your life till your very last day, like you don't want to go out in a nursing home on the couch watching Oprah. Like you want to be living every day and feeling that energy. And, that's one of the reasons why we put on the summit, because it's not okay to just be that shell of yourself. It's not okay to just kind of make it through, check off the day. Like, okay, I made it through that day. I have to wake up and do it all over again. Like you should get out of bed and be like, yes, like this is an awesome day. And if you don't, then reach out to one of us. Like reach out to somebody who can help you, who actually understands you and can actually relate. It doesn't have to be, your old 71-year-old traditionally trained Western medicine doctor who doesn't understand. It could be, someone who's a little more forward thinking like Jill or myself that can get you going on the right path. It totally is possible.
And you know what? It may not be the path that you thought that you were going to be going down.
Yeah.
And I think that's also another thing, that we have all these preconceived notions of how things should look and what we should be doing. And really, we're limiting ourselves when we do that. And so these women that I'm helping, they actually are going into a completely different area of their career that they never really thought of before, but it's so much more fulfilling for them now.
Yeah, I've had more of my patients quit jobs and do something else. And my husband, people ask me, what are you telling these people? Why are they all quitting jobs? Because they weren't happy, right? So it's, it's okay. And I love that. Live life for life. And it may not be the path you thought you were going on, but that makes it all that much more fun. So Dr. Jill, we're running out of time. I feel like I could talk to you for the rest of the day. But we are running out of time. It's a short interview, but you do have a free gift for everybody. You actually have an amazing way to connect with you in your Facebook group. Can you tell us a little bit about that group?
Sure. I have a women's only private Facebook group that I invite all of you to join. And it's all women to create a safe space to talk about the things that we should be able to talk about and not necessarily feel ashamed to talk about it. And I put topics out there, but topics are welcomed. If people are, I had a woman ask me if using a vibrator is bad, if it causes desensitization. And I'm so happy that she wrote that because, she felt safe to write that. So I was able to speak on that topic.
That's a great resource. I encourage you guys all to, click that link below and join the community and continue this conversation. You may have questions that we didn't get to today, or you may not even know you have a question until you're in the group and you see some of the other women talking. So I think that, we do need a place that we feel safe and we feel welcomed. And so we can ask these things that we probably can't ask our mom. We probably can't ask our doctor. We may be too embarrassed to ask some of our girlfriends even. So, I think that's such a great thing to put out there.
Yeah, and it really helps women start living their lives out loud.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Dr. Jill, for sharing your message and for just being a real, just like light at the end of the day here. So thank you for that. And thank you guys all for showing up today and really doing something for yourself right now. I know that there's so many things that pull out your time, and taking the time out to listen to this interview, to meet Dr. Jill, and to open your mind up to some possibilities that can really change your life. I really give you a pat on the back and a virtual hug for that. So thank you so much for being here. We'll be back again with some more interviews. If you missed any of the previous interviews, just check your email. We have the links to all of them below. And don't forget to click the link below and join Dr. Jill's community. She's open. She welcomes you with open arms, and she's just so much fun to chat with. So definitely do that. So Dr. Jill, again, thank you, and thank you, everybody. Have a great day.
Yeah.